of creating a program that's going to be, and these elements need to be in place if it's going to be successful. There needs to be internal support and acceptance. The Board of Education, the leadership of the school district, leadership of parents, et cetera, need to understand and support the program from the very beginning through to the end if the program is to be successful. A clear charge from the Board of Education. We'll work with the board in terms of what that charge would be, because there are some things that we want to study, and there are some parameters. We can't do, a community can't do everything. So we'll want to work with the Board of Education to create, and the leadership of the district to create that charge. It must have citizen leadership. The superintendent, Board of Education, you have a role to play. You are the elected authority of the school district. That's recognized, that's important, and you will always have the final say, obviously. However, in a successful community engagement planning process, you kind of need to take a back seat a bit and let community leaders drive that program. Doesn't mean that you're abdicating your responsibility as the leadership of the district and the Board of Education, but citizens must provide that leadership, and we'll work with you in terms of further defining that. It needs to be more than the usual suspects. I said it needs to be a large number of folks. Often the school district will create a blue ribbon committee of 15 to 20 people, and it'll be the president of the Chamber of Commerce and this high-level elite kind of a person, and that's all fine and good, and that's a part of the program, but it needs to be everybody that wants to be involved can be involved, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. It's a totally open process. Open process. Anybody who wants to participate in this process is welcome, and not only welcome, but encouraged to participate. I've already said that it must be two-way communication for it to be successful. We'll create, that is, the community, the participants, will work with us in creating a timeline and a planning syllabus in terms of what we're going to study, and everything that we do will be data-driven. When we come together for a meeting, there is a reason. We will talk, all decisions, all our conversations will be based upon data. Just some other best practices that are part of the process. Everything must be done very professionally, from look to organization to conducting it, even to writing of scripts for citizen leadership. Though we may have 400 or 500 folks in the room, they will work in small groups. They must come to consensus on some issues, and there will be thorough documentation of everything that we do. We'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes about communication, but the planning process, I think that Unicom ARC does, that perhaps other agencies provide, ours is very much driven by communications. This has to be a key element as we move forward. Now I'm going to provide, there are a lot of models in community engagement. This is the one, after thinking about your school district, that we think needs to be put in place. So let me just walk through this quickly, and we're probably going over time. But first of all, we talked about beginning with a board charge. Remember, I mentioned that. We'll work with you on what that needs to be. We'll put together a facilitating team of about 15 people. Could be a few less, could be a few more. But a key a group that will coordinate, facilitate the entire process. Not us from outside, but this team of folks. Who's on that team? Remember I said that it must be citizen-led, and so we'll work very closely with you to identify appropriate citizens to lead that process, and that could be 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever that number needs to be of community, more community than others. There would be organization executives. Superintendent, whoever the superintendent might suggest from the leadership team to be a part of that this group. A couple of representatives from the Board of Education would make up this group. Teacher union or association leadership would be a part of this group. There would be other special advisors that we might need to identify that would be part of this group. But about a 15 On average, it's about 15 folks. It will be this group, not Rod, not me, not somebody else from our agency. It will be this group that makes decisions about organizing, planning, monitoring, and adjusting the program from beginning to end. We'll work very closely with that group. They'll plan then the larger community engagement sessions. Remember, I talked about Hazelwood, 400 to 500 folks being involved in that. This is truly anyone who wants to participate. I say if we were in the South, you'd say, y'all come, because truly that's what we want to have happen. Hopefully the newspapers, the media in the area, as well as all the communication is going to promote that so that everybody will have an opportunity to be at the table, to discuss, to be a part of that dialogue that must occur for it to be successful. When we come together, there's some things that we're going to review, study, and I call it a syllabus. These are just sample topics. At our first meeting of the large group will decide what needs to be addressed in this school district. And then we'll create a syllabus based upon what we learn. These are just samples. Rod talked about the discovery process. As we look at this data, I said it was data-driven, as we look at this data, we're going to discover some things and decide some things. At the end of each one of these meetings, there will be some verbatim responses, some executive summaries, and we're going to force you to come to consensus, i.e. general agreement, on some critical issues. Those will become building blocks for later on forming recommendations that come to the Board of Education. If we have the opportunity, we would like to support that with some building level meetings so that there can be even greater participation across the school district. Now again, I've gone through that very hurriedly, but this is the model that we would suggest. I mentioned to you that communications is an absolute must for a program to be successful. We like to brand, give it a name, so that it doesn't appear that it is top down. Rod talked about the program can't be top down, and so that it is truly ownership by the community. And so we like to give each of our programs a name and a project logo. Here are just some samples. Here's one we just finished in School District of University City in St. Louis County. This is Suburban Chicago. Rod talked about Connect 34, Rockwood School District in Hazelwood First. This is Gurnee in suburban Chicago. Just some more. Compass in Melville School District. Suburban Chicago, a community college. Wentzville School District, where we just finished a successful program. These are two, we recommended this for Harper Community College. They didn't like that. And remember that I said it's the facilitating team that makes the decision. Rod and I like this. They didn't. That's what they wanted. This is what we ended up with, because they make the decision, not us. This is brand new. We're working in Decatur, Illinois, and this is just finalized this past week as we make key decisions for Decatur, Illinois. So we'll want to brand if we have the opportunity to lead your program, we'll want to brand it in this kind of way. Again, it's the facilitating team that makes that decision, not us. There are a number of, we'll want to use every possible vehicle there exists for communication. And these are just, as you know, some samples. Rod's going to talk through some, we're using video very effectively now, and Rod's going to talk through some of that.
We're 2 or 3 minutes from being finished. One of the things that we're finding out in terms of best practices is good ways to communicate with people. And as much as I would like to tell you that everybody reads every word on the printed page that you put out there, well, we're finding out that it's essential to do video so people can really understand some of the issues that you're facing. We're going to show some very short video clips to show you how video can powerfully communicate a message. The first one is going to show some utility tunnels